Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. During the Q&A session, if you'd like to ask a question, you may press star on your phone. If you're hard of hearing, please use the chat function in the WebEx for questions. Today's call is being recorded. If you have any objections, please disconnect at this time. I will now turn the call over to Jewel Jordan. Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you, operator. And good afternoon, and welcome to the 2021 American Community Survey one-year pre-release webinar. Today's webinar is focused on helping you prepare for the release of the 2021 ACS one-year data products. Before I proceed, I'd like to say a special thank you to our American Community Survey respondents for their participation in the survey. Without them, we would not have these data, which are so important for America's communities. If you require closed captioning for today's webinar, please use the link posted on this slide. Further instructions can be found in the chat window. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording and slides will be available through Census Academy in the recorded webinar section. We'll have 2 rounds of questions and answers during this webinar. In addition to verbal questions and answers, subject matter experts will be answering questions throughout the webinar using the Q&A feature in WebEx. Send your questions through the Q&A panel in the lower right corner of your screen. You may need to activate the Q&A by clicking on the Q&A icon, which might be nested under the icon with 3 dots in the bottom right corner of your screen. If you are unable to ask your question or have additional questions after the webinar, please send them to the Public Information Office via email at pio@census.gov or by phone at 301-763-3030. The slides for today's webinar are currently available in the press kit. You can find the press kit in the link on this slide. Throughout the webinar, links to more resources will be available in the chat window or through scanning QR codes on the slides using your mobile device. I'm Jewel Jordan, a Public Affairs Specialist with the Census Bureau's Public Information Office. Our presenters today are Amanda Klimek, a Survey statistician with the American Community Survey Office, and Rex Kung, a Program Analyst with the Center for Enterprise Dissemination. I will now turn it over to Amanda Klimek, who will provide you with information about the American Community Survey. Amanda?
Thanks, Jewel. Before we get started, I would like to quickly outline sort of what we'll be covering today. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about next week's 2021 ACS one-year or American Community Survey release. Then we'll briefly cover some ACS basics for those who might be new to the survey or for those who just want a little bit of a refresher. Then we're going to be going over updates specific to the 2021 ACS one-year release, such as methodology and content for this release. After that, we're going to have an initial Q&A after learning about some resources for learning more and ways to stay in touch with the ACS community. Stick around after the Q&A for a demonstration of data.census.gov, which is where you're going to be able to access the 2021 ACS one-year data after next week's release. We'll then have a final Q&A, and we'll invite you to fill out an evaluation for today's webinar. So we're going to start with our upcoming releases in reference to our ACS one-year estimates. Next Tuesday, the 2021 ACS one-year data will be available for early access media embargo ahead of the public release next Thursday. These estimates cover the calendar year 2021 for all geographic areas with populations of 65,000 and above. Our media embargo will begin on Tuesday, September 13th at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. All products on data.census.gov will be available through our embargo site. Please visit the press kit link provided on this slide to find the one-year data products that will be available for media. Our public release will be Thursday, September 15th at 12:01 Eastern Daylight Time, and this is AM. It will include one-year products such as the comparison profiles and subject tables. Also included on the 15th will be our narrative profiles that are available through the ACS website. Existing tools like My Congressional District, Quick Facts, and the API will be updated with the new one-year data. In addition to the kickoff of our data release season with the one-year release next week on September 15th, we also have some future ACS data releases to follow. Rounding out our one-year release schedule, our next release is on October 20th when we publicly release the 2021 ACS one-year supplemental estimates, which will encompass geographies with populations of 20,000 or more. On this day, we will also release our 2021 one-year public use microdata sample, or PUMS files. The ACS PUMS files are a set of untabulated records about individual people or housing units. PUMS data are made available to data users at the nation, region, state, and public use microdata areas, or PUMA levels of geography. PUMAs are non-overlapping geographies which contain at least 100,000 people. These files allow data users to create custom tables that are not available through pre-tabulated ACS data products. PUMS data can be found on the Census Bureau's FTP server through the API or through the microdata tool available on data.census.gov. Now, for our 5-year release on December 6th, the 5-year estimates will be embargoed to the media on December 6th, with a public release to follow on December 8th. These data will cover the time period of 2017 to 2021, making up the 5-year estimates. These estimates will cover all geographic areas regardless of population size, down to the block group level. Also, be aware that we will conduct a 5-year pre-release webinar before these data are released. The 2017 to 2021 5-year ACS PUMS files will be released on January 26th, along with the 5-year variance replicate estimate tables. The variance replicate estimate tables allow data users to calculate margins of error, which include the covariance term when combining ACS estimates within a table or between geographies. And these can be found on the ACS website. I also want to point out that next week on Tuesday, September 13th, the Current Population Survey Annual Social and Economic Supplement, or CPS-ASEC, will release its 2021 Income, Poverty, and Health Insurance Estimates. Please note that the ACS and CPS-ASEC are different surveys, and the methods and how they are conducted also differ. But their overlapping data topics do tend to have similar trends over time. So we recommend using CPS-ASEC estimates when using data at the national level. For subnational estimates, or when comparing the nation to other geographies, we recommend using the ACS estimates. And you can visit the webinar listed on this slide to find out more about comparing the ACS with the CPS-ASEC. I now want to switch gears and dive into the basics of the ACS. And this information will be a great overview or a refresher on the foundations of the ACS. The ACS is the nation's most current, reliable, and accessible data source for local statistics on critical planning topics such as age, children, veterans, commuting, education, income, and employment. The ACS samples approximately 3.5 million addresses each year. These data are collected continuously throughout the year to produce annual social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates. The data collected through ACS are used to inform the distribution of more than $675 billion of federal government spending each year. The ACS is designed to produce critical information on small areas and small population groups previously collected once every 10 years as part of the decennial census long form. With the introduction of the ACS, communities and businesses receive more current data, and the census questionnaire sent to all residents every 10 years has been significantly shortened. Our estimates, covering more than 40 topics, support more than 300 known federal uses and countless non-federal uses. Businesses and communities use these 11 billion estimates each year to make vital decisions, including where to locate hospitals and schools, what transportation needs exist, and what goods and services businesses should provide to customers. The Census Bureau releases 3 different sets of ACS data estimates each year in the form of 1-year and 5-year period estimates, as well as 1-year supplemental estimates. The content collected by the American Community Survey can be grouped into these 4 main types of characteristics we see here: social, demographic, economic, and housing. Take a closer look at the type of information each of these categories contain. Social characteristics include topics such as disability status, education, and language spoken at home. The American Community Survey also collects basic demographic characteristics such as sex, age, race, and Hispanic origin. Economic characteristics include topics such as commuting to work, employment status, and income. Housing characteristics include topics such as computer and internet use, housing costs, and vehicles available. These topics are used to produce more than 1,000 tables for local communities each year, and they power countless news stories every day. And we want to send a special thanks to our media partners for powering their stories with ACS data. In addition to the 40-plus topics covered on the ACS, another strength of the survey is the number of geographies available, from the national level all the way down to your local community. Our survey provides data for more geographies on an annual basis than any other household survey. There are more than 13,600 geographic areas included in the 2021 one-year release. These geographies consist of areas with a population of 65,000 or more, and this includes estimates at the national level, all states, the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico, all metropolitan areas, all U.S. congressional districts, and any counties and places with a population of at least 65,000. 2021 ACS one-year estimates will be released using congressional district boundaries from the 116th Congress of the United States. The Census Bureau does not collect congressional district boundaries from states during the congressional session that aligns with the decennial census, such as the 117th Congress. However, boundaries for the 117th Congress are the same as boundaries from the 116th Congress, with the exception being congressional districts within North Carolina. 2021 ACS one-year data profiles using 118 congressional district boundaries will be released on the Census Bureau's FTP site in early 2023. If you're new to the ACS or want more in-depth information than what I just gave here on ACS resources, there was recently an introductory webinar on the ACS. Slides are available now at this link, and a recording of the webinar will be posted soon. So let's now switch gears from the basics and talk about changes specific to the 2021 ACS one-year release regarding updates, table changes, and more. The first big change we are going to cover is population controls in the ACS for the 2021 data release season. ACS data are controlled so that the number of housing units and people in certain categories are consistent with the Census Bureau's official estimates from the Population Estimates Program, or PEP. After the 2020 census, we plan to use intercensus estimates as controls. Intercensus estimates are produced once a decade when both the beginning and ending populations are known. In this case, that would be the 2010 census and the 2020 census. Due to delays in the 2020 census processing, the 2010 to 2020 intercensus estimates have been delayed from 2021 to 2023. Therefore, the population controls for the 2021 ACS one-year data products will not be fully informed by the 2020 census. The 2021 ACS data products will use the vintage 2021 blended base population estimates that incorporate the 2020 census, vintage 2020 population estimates, and the 2020 demographic analysis, or DA. The URL at the bottom of the slide will take you to a user note that contains more information about this change. Another update that we do annually is update various geographic areas across the country. These changes occur for various reasons, such as annexation, disincorporation, and geocoding updates. This can reduce the comparability of some geographic areas, but ensures that the most recent versions of geographic areas are used in our tabulation process. Some examples of a few boundary changes for the upcoming release consist of one new county subdivision in Minnesota, one new elementary school district in Maine, 3 new incorporated places in Minnesota, Texas, and Wisconsin, and 8 new unified school districts in various states. If you're interested in learning more about the latest available geographic boundaries, the Geographic Boundaries by Year webpage is a very useful resource. It contains a list of geographic areas such as counties or tracts and the vintage they use for each year of the survey. And you can learn more about planned updates. For example, the Census Bureau is planning on publishing the updated boundaries for public use microdata areas, or PUMAs, with the 2022 ACS release. I'm just going to take you really briefly, I'm going to take you to the website. This is the live website for the Census Bureau, census.gov. And I'm just going to go to surveys and programs, and I'm going to go to American Community Survey. And census.gov/ACS will also get you here. And if you click on this left-hand navigation bar, go to Geography and ACS, you can see some of these pages that I've been mentioning for geography. So the Geography Boundaries by Year page is the one that I just mentioned. We do have another noteworthy change for the ACS summary file this year. The 2021 ACS one-year summary file will be released as a table-based format, replacing the prior sequence-based summary file format. Each ACS detail table will be available as a separate file containing the estimate and margin of error for all published geographies. To aid in this transition, the prior sequence-based format will also be available for the 2021 ACS one-year and 2017 to 2021 ACS five-year releases, but discontinued thereafter. For more information, visit the ACS summary file page. The table-based summary file format streamlines the ACS summary file production by delivering only one file. Instead of splitting the files by state and sequence number, the new format will be by table ID. That is, we would post a file for each table containing the estimates and margins of error for all available geographies. This will reduce the complexity of the ACS summary file from over 140,000 files to about 1,000 files. It will improve ease of use for data users and lower the cost of creating, verifying, and supporting the ACS summary file compared to its sequence-based format. There will be a webinar on September 28th that will go in depth to demonstrate the new table-based summary file format. Now let's transition to discussing table changes. This year, we have 11 new detailed tables across 4 topic areas. New table B28012 provides estimates of computer ownership and internet subscription for the household population. Industry added new detailed tables. There's 3 of these, and poverty added 1 new table that shows the total number of people in households for whom poverty status is determined. Housing added 2 detailed tables to show additional information for vacant housing units and 4 new tables to show estimates of utility costs for occupied housing units. We also had modifications to tables for a variety of topics, and we'll be using the next few slides to highlight some of these changes. Before we discuss specific tables, data users should note that there were multiple improvements made to the question designs, processing, and coding for the Hispanic origin question and the race question in the 2020 ACS. Those changes were reflected in the 2016 to 2020 ACS 5-year data products and are now reflected in the 2021 ACS data products. Please refer to the user notes entitled Improvements to the Hispanic Origin Question and Improvements to the Race Question to learn more information and full details. You can see that link on the slide. The changes implemented in the 2020 ACS are the same as those implemented in the 2020 census. Revised race and Hispanic origin codes were used to create categories for race and Hispanic origin detailed tables. Detailed tables for all other topics that were iterated by race and Hispanic origin and comparison profile 05 and data profile 05 are included. The full list of tables is too numerous to show, but a description of tables is shown here for illustrative purposes. Other examples of topics with modifications to detailed tables or subject tables include those listed here, such as corrections to tables for food stamps and foreign-born, and updates to tables showing employment status and mortgage status. Improvements were also made to the comparison profiles and data profiles listed here to better address data user needs. For instance, the method for inflation adjusting median dollar amounts for previous years in CP03 and CP04, that's comparison profiles, was also changed. Data users are now able to closely match the estimates by inflation adjusting previous year estimates using the Consumer Price Index Research Series, or CPI-URS, for the median income and housing estimates. The modified tables that we covered here today are a sample of all these changes. For the complete list of changes, please see the link listed at the bottom of the slide. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the ACS provides estimates which highlight the strength of the ACS, which is estimating characteristic distributions. The Census Bureau recommends that users compare population characteristics, such as percent, means, and medians, and rates rather than estimates of population totals. Now, if you're looking for population totals, we recommend using the decennial census or the population estimates program. In general, the Census Bureau recommends that you do compare similar period lengths. So, for example, you can compare 1 year to 1 year or 5 year to 5 year, but don't compare estimates from different period lengths. For example, don't compare 1 year to 5 year. And it's also important to keep in mind that all ACS data are estimates. We collect data from a sample of the population in the United States and Puerto Rico rather than from the whole population. To help you interpret the reliability of the estimates, the Census Bureau publishes a margin of error, or MOE, for every ACS estimate. Unless you account for the MOEs, you cannot conclude that estimates are statistically different from one another. Instead, you will need to conduct statistical testing when making comparisons between estimates to check for any differences. We'll talk more about how to do this on an upcoming slide, but looking at estimates alone to decide if they are higher or lower than one another is not sufficient. Feel free to compare across geographies and population subgroups using 2021 ACS data, but don't expect ACS estimates to match decennial census counts or estimates from any other surveys. So, for example, don't expect ACS estimates to match CPS, ASEC, income, poverty, and health insurance estimates. The comparison guidance page provides broad information about comparing ACS estimates across ACS years, as well as with the 2010 and 2020 census. From the page shown on the screen, you can find overall comparison guidance as well as yearly guidance on the comparison of data sets, as well as specific topics and subjects. So, for example, if you were interested in data about computer and internet use from 2016, you would select the year and then select the topic computer and internet use. And then you would see that the Census Bureau recommends comparing the 2016 data and 2015 data with caution due to question wording changes. The Comparing ACS data page can be found by visiting the ACS homepage, census.gov/ACS, and then select Guidance for Data Users and then Comparing ACS Data. I'm going to take a moment here to just show you where that is. So we are going to go back to the ACS main page, and then we're going to go to Guidance for Data Users, and then we are going to go to Comparing ACS Data. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you can see some broad comparisons here, and then down here you can see the guidance by year. So you can select what year you want and go into that. All right, before we move into our first Q&A session and our live demonstration on how to use data.census.gov, I want to take a moment to offer some helpful information available on our ACS website, which contains noteworthy pages related to the upcoming release. First, we have the ACS main page, which I just showed you earlier, is a great tool to start with if you have questions about the ACS. This page can be found by going to census.gov and selecting Surveys/Programs and then selecting American Community Survey, or simply go to census.gov/ACS. The ACS website contains a wealth of information about the survey, data products, tools for data users, and other helpful information. You might notice that the page I showed you a moment ago looks a little different than what's displayed here. This slide is a preview of the new census.gov visual refresh that will be happening in the next few weeks. So while the pages might look a little different than what's currently on the website, the functionality and navigation will remain the same. The News and Updates tab will lead you to our data release schedules by year, as well as new and notable documentation about what's to come in each release. This page is updated throughout fall as new data products are released for the 1-year estimates and is also updated for the release of the 5-year products, which will be released in December and January. And some of the great information available on these pages is that it obviously provides the release dates, but it also provides links to table and geography changes. I'll go to this one real quick, and you can, again, find this under News and Updates. So we're going to go to the census.gov/ACS main page, News and Updates, and then Data Releases. And so once everything's been released, you will be able to find all the relevant links here. Under New and Notable, you can kind of find a sort of a repository of everything that's been released. And then the table and geography changes will go much more in depth into the tables that I was mentioning earlier, and you can see the full list of all those tables that have changed. Links to our data table and tools pages can be found through the ACS data page. So that's the main census.gov/ACS page, and then you just click on data in that left-hand navigation. And these web pages will introduce you to the most popular tools and data products with descriptions and links for each. If you've ever wondered, what's the difference between a detailed table and a data profile? Where can I find state-by-state migration flows? Or what's included in data.census.gov versus the API? This is the resource for you. On the ACS website, you can also find data user resources by selecting the Guidance for Data Users tab on the left side of the ACS homepage. That's where we also went to go to the Comparing ACS Data page. And an example of one of the resources available on the Guidance for ACS Data Users page includes the ACS Data User Handbook series. And these handbooks are provided in PDF format and are downloadable. Each handbook is directed towards a specific audience and contains how-to instructions on using data in different ways or for different reasons. Another great resource is our recorded webinars page. And these are recordings of live webinars performed by ACSO staff, such as the one that we are doing today. And the presentation contains each presentation contains a video of the training, along with a copy of the PowerPoint slides and a transcript of the presentation. The training presentations are a great way to train yourself or others on specific topics as they relate to the ACS. And this is also where this particular webinar will be located in the press kit, but you'll also be able to find it on Census Academy and through this recorded webinars page. So now, for users that have already accessed the data but need more information to understand the tables and complete their analysis, we offer code lists, subject definitions, group quarters definitions, instructions for applying statistical testing, comparison guidance, and accuracy of the data in our technical documentation section. And the technical documentation page shown on this slide can be found by going to census.gov/ACS and then selecting technical documentation in the left navigation bar. And this page is where I mentioned earlier, you can find further instructions about how to conduct statistical testing, and there is a nifty little statistical testing tool on the code list definitions and accuracy page as well. Outside of our traditional dissemination platform, data.census.gov, which we will be demonstrating live here shortly, we have the Census Data Application Programming Interface, or API. And the Census Data API is a data service that enables researchers and software developers to access and use Census Bureau data within their programs and applications. The Census Data API presents data in a standardized way, and by standardizing the API query language across multiple data sets, the learning curve for researchers and developers is reduced. The API includes many Census Bureau data sets, including the ACS 1-year and 5-year data sets, as well as the ACS migration flows and supplemental data. So you can visit census.gov/developers to get started. And here you can also join the very active Census Bureau Developers Forum on Slack. The Developers Forum is available to help improve access to public data sets and to encourage the use of innovative data products. And we invite developers to join our Developers Forum and provide feedback to help the Census Bureau move forward with our continued API development. I'll now turn the presentation back over to Jewel so we can begin the first question and answer session before we do our demonstration on how to access ACS estimates using data.census.gov. Jewel, it's all yours.
Thank you, Amanda. Now we'll open the lines for questions. When you ask your question, please state your name and affiliation. And because we want to give everyone an opportunity to ask their questions, we'll allow just one question and one follow-up question per caller. We will be taking questions first from members of the media and then from the rest of the data user community. Following this question and answer session, we will provide a live demonstration of how to access ACS data on data.census.gov. If you are unable to ask a question or have additional questions for follow-up, please send them to the Public Information Office either by email at pio@census.gov or by phone at 301-763. While we wait for our first questions to queue up, I'd like to tell you all about the ACS Data Users Group. Actually, I would like to, operator, can you go ahead and open up the lines for questions and give instructions for asking questions?
Yes, the phone lines are now open for questions. If you would like to ask a question over the phone, please press *1 and record your name and affiliation. If you'd like to withdraw your question, press *2. Thank you.
Thank you, operator. As I was saying, so while we wait for our first questions to queue up, I'd like to tell you all about the ACS Data Users Group, a group specifically for users of the American Community Survey data. The purpose of the ACS Data Users Group is to improve understanding of the value and utility of ACS data, as well as promote information sharing among data users about key ACS data issues and applications. The ACS Data Users Group includes a users group website and online community with over 3,700 members. The website contains information such as previous conference presentations and archived webinars. This online community is a site where members can share messages, materials, and announcements related to ACS, and Census Bureau staff are also members. They are there as available aid and share program updates. Excuse me. The group also hosts ACS data user conferences, typically every 2 years, in order to provide an opportunity for ACS data users and Census Bureau staff to showcase their work and exchange information about their experiences using ACS data. The most recent conference was held in May of 2021. The conferences are open to the public and information is posted in advance on the Data Users Group website. Membership is free and open to all interested ACS data users. To learn more, please go to acsdatacommunity.prb.org. Operator, do we have any questions?
Yes, there is a question in the queue from Mike Schneider with the Associated Press. Your line is open.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having this. I had a question for Amanda. You might have answered it. I jumped on late, so I don't know. But, obviously with the 2021 year estimates, there were problems with data collection because of the pandemic, and they were deemed experimental. I was wondering for the 2021 one-year ACS data gathering, how large was the sample and what were the response and non-response rates?
Thank you for that question, Mike. So actually, I think that is a question for another subject matter expert that may be on the line. Do we have someone that's available to take that question?
Hello, this is Mark Asiala. I am chief of the ACS Statistical Design Area for the program. The response rates we will be publishing on our ACS quality measures page at the time of release. That will also include our exact for the number of interviews that we had. But generally speaking, we resumed our full contact strategy early in the spring of 2021, and therefore our response rates were significantly improved in 2021 compared to 2020. So we felt confident about the data for this year.
Thank you. Mike, did you have any additional follow-up questions?
Mike has dropped from the queue.
Thank you, operator. Are there any other questions in queue?
There is one from Chris Porter with JBREC. Your line is now open.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I had a question, same question about the 2021 census. I assume we're not using the experimental weights as they did for 2020. But I wonder, do you have any recommendations for how do we think about 2020 data, given that now we have 2021, we have 2019? Are there any recommendations for how we think about the year 2020?
Thank you for your question. Is there a subject matter expert on the line who can answer?
Hi, good afternoon. This is Nicole Scanello. I'm the Assistant Division Chief for Communications for the American Community Survey. So in our guidance, we do not recommend comparing the 2021 ACS 1 year to those 2020 experimental ACS estimates for that exact reason that you stated. We did not use the experimental methodology for the 2021. So we recommend if people are looking at 1 year trends, even though it's not a direct subsequent year, we would recommend comparing 2021 to 2019.
Thank you, Nicole, for that response. Operator, are there any other questions in queue?
I'm showing no further phone questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Before I hand it over to Rex, I did have some additional information I wanted to provide you all. If you are looking for further assistance on how to obtain or understand ACS data, our data dissemination specialists, or DDSs, who are located within your region, can provide you with assistance about Census Bureau data. These specialists usually provide help in English, but sometimes are available in other languages as well, depending on needs of their community. Whether conducting one-on-one webinars with business startups or conducting large-scale presentations at universities, these specialists strive to put the public in touch with data that they need. DDSs provide a wide variety of assistance for free. If you are interested in a specific type of training or presentation, please reach out to a specialist in your area using the contact information on the slide. We also invite you to stay in touch by telling us how you use data from American Community Survey. For example, have you or your organization used the ACS to make an important decision, help your community, or expand your business? If so, please visit the link at the bottom of the slide to share your story and explore how data enthusiasts across the country are using ACS data in creative ways. Doing so provides further support for the importance of the data we collect here at the Census Bureau and is a great way for further to further promote our data. You can also discover some of our data stories that are already posted, such as how the American Psychological Association uses ACS data to identify needs for mental health services, education, and training, and how the U.S. Department of Energy uses ACS data to assist stakeholders in building better energy strategies. I would also like to remind you all that the embargo for subscribers I would like to remind you that embargo subscribers will have access to 2021 ACS 1 year statistics beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Tuesday, September 13th. The full release is set for 12:01 a.m. on Thursday, September 15th. To see this data prior to the release date of September 15th, visit the embargo area, which you'll find on census.gov by clicking on Newsroom, then Embargoed Releases. After signing in, you'll have access to embargo data in the press kit, including the presentation slides and other products. The embargo area press kit link on this page will also take you there once the embargo period begins. Operator, are there any more questions in queue?
I'm showing no further questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to turn it over. Excuse me. Pardon me, I'm so sorry. Thank you for your questions. We'll also have another Q&A session at the very end of today's webinar. But for now, let's move on into our next section, Accessing Data on data.census.gov. Presenting this section to you and providing a walkthrough of data.census.gov, as well as resources for this tool, is Rex Kung from the Center of Enterprise Dissemination. Rex?
Thank you, Joel. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinars and demonstration on how to access ACS data through data.census.gov. All right, so today's demo will introduce you to different functionality and ways of searching on data.census.gov. We run through 5 quick searches to showcase each of the 5 types of ACS tables that will be on data.census.gov in next week's release. To help highlight the differences between the types of ACS tables, we will look at the data for the same topic, health insurance. But before we get started, since the 2021 data haven't been released yet, we'll show the process using the 2019 ACS one-year estimates on data.census.gov. So there are 2 ways to start your search. The first one would be single search, which is a free-form search box over there. And the next one would be advanced search. So you can select search criteria in the step-by-step filtering experience where you select desired checkboxes.
Rex, would you be able to see your screen?
Oh, what's that?
We're not able to see your screen.
Oh, okay. Let me share my screen real quick again. All right, so can you all see my screen now?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so sorry about that. So now we're on a slide, single search, keywords and codes. So you can type in any kinds of keywords and codes, such as geography, topics, year, table ID, and table prefix. So my favorite place to start is the single search bar. It often provides a quick answer to my data question. So for example, if I'm interested in looking for like the average commuting time in my area, I would just type in commuting and my geography, Providence County, Rhode Island, and I'm interested in year 2019, and I'm just gonna type in that single search bar and press enter. All right, so let's get started to our very first example, searching by topic, health insurance, Providence County, Rhode Island, 2019. And this will be subject table. All right, so let's go to data.census.gov. And this is the landing page of data.census.gov. And I'm looking for health insurance data for Providence County, Rhode Island in 2019. So I'm just gonna type in health insurance and my geography, Providence County, Rhode Island in 2019. Then press enter or click on the magnifying glass over here. So as you can see, when I type in there, and it would just pick up my keywords and apply to the filters. So I can either view featured results on the top of the table's result from here, or I can view my table results from here. And I'm going to click on the tables tab over here to see more data. To view the first table, select a characteristic of health insurance coverage in the United States. That looks like something I'm looking for. And as you can see, from this table, we can see like estimate. Let me close this first. So we can see the larger table from here. You can see estimates and percentages. So in this example, we can see health insurance coverage broken out, age, sex, race and Hispanic or Latino region, living arrangement, etc. For the total insured, uninsured population in Providence County, Rhode Island. And I can browse all results from here, or click on the results button over here to see all the available tables, or I can click on the filters button over here to narrow search more. All right, so let's go ahead to our second example. Searching by table ID. B27001, Kent County, Rhode Island, 2019. And this one is for detailed table. And Sam, going back to data.census.gov. So a quick tip, you can always click on the census logo over here and go back to the data.census.gov landing page and restart your search. So for this one, I'm going to type in a table ID plus geography plus year. So I'm going to type in, B27001, and in my geography, Kent County, Rhode Island, 2019. All right, and press enter. And now I can see the results. There's one table over here, health insurance coverage status by sex, by age. I'm going to click on that to view the results. So example of a detailed table, most detailed information on health insurance in Kent County, Rhode Island. It's all showing here. And the breakout shows highlights level of health insurance coverage for male, female, and different age groups. Okay, so let's go ahead to our next example. Selecting multiple geographies and table type. Before we go to that, I'm going to introduce a little bit about advanced search. So if you're not finding a quick answer to your data questions, try the alternative search method by click the advanced search button. It's a step-by-step filtering experience where you browse through a series of filters to find checkboxes that match your search interest. And some complex search criteria can only be selected through the advanced search, such as all of this example. Okay, so right now I'm looking for ACS one-year data profile for all states in the United States in 2019, and it is data profile. So going back to data.census.gov, and like I say, I can always click on the logo to go back to the landing page and restart my search. For this one, for this example, I'm going to just click advanced search button over here. So from here, I'm going to start with whatever is most important to me, and I think I'm going to select the year first. So I click on the years, and I see there's a 2019 here. I'm going to check the box next to it. And next, I'm going to select my product and surveys. I'm going to click on the surveys, American Community Survey folder, click on that. And I see there's a one-year estimate. All right, so now I'm going to select data profile, check the box next to it. And next would be geography. So if you didn't select any geography, which is default your geography to nation, to the United States. So from here, I'm going to click on the geography because I'm looking for all states in the United States. When I click on that, you can see there's some boxes over here, and I see there's a state. I'm going to click on that box, and I see there's all states within the United States, Puerto Rico, and the island areas. I'm going to check the box next to it. All right, so I already select all of my variables, and I'm going to verify it's already been selected to my filters on the left over here. And then I'm going to click on the search button on your bottom right over here to see my results. Okay, so I can see all the DP tables showed up over here, and I can click through table titles to explore the data. And I'm going to click on this tables tab first, and now I can explore different data by clicking on the title of that table. So health insurance data is included in DPO3, selected economic characteristic this table. So a quick tip. So you can always click on this arrow to hide the filters panel and the table results panel so that you can see a larger table from here. So right now I'm just going to scroll down to the health insurance section. And there you go, it's over here. So I can view my results from this way. All right, so let's say if you want to save this table, how do you do that? So we make it easy to save your table or map. You can just copy the URL of this table and open a new tab, paste the URL to there. And notice it takes you back to the same table view. You can use this to revisit the table later. And in this example, I'm going to keep one of these tabs open, and we will return it later to download and map the data. Okay, so let's move on to our next example. Comparing data over time, ACS one-year comparison profiles for Providence, Warwick metro area. And this is comparison profile. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna stay on this page, this table, so I can actually edit my search from here by returning to the advanced search page. So in this example, we will pull up a comparison profile for a single geography to look at health insurance data over time. So I'm going to navigate to the left side of the screen. The filters you currently have selected appear in the upper left part of the page. So you can click on the X to remove this variable. So I don't want ACS one-year data profile. I'm just going to click on that and delete it. Now I'm going to change my geography too. So I'm going to click on it. And now I only have 2019 over there. Now we can select a new type of table. I'm going to click on Survey, American Community Survey, one-year estimate. I'm going to check the box next to Comparison Profiles. All right, and next step will be selecting Geography. So a quick tip, you can turn on a Summary Levels toggle to see which geographic areas are compatible with your current selections, such as the ACS one-year estimate comparison profiles. Here, we'll select the Providence, Warwick, or Rhode Island, Massachusetts area to show an example of the geography that is only available through the advanced search. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on the Summary Levels toggle over here and scroll down the list. I see there's a 310 metropolitan statistical area, micropolitan statistical area. I'm just going to click on that. And another quick tip, so I don't want to scroll through a long list of this geography. So I'm just going to type in my keywords in this search bar. So I'm looking for Providence. Now I can see there's a Providence, Warwick, Rhode Island, Massachusetts metro area there, and I'm going to check the box next to it. All right, so I'll verify my filters and click on the X here to close the panel and update the tables. So as you can see, my table is already updated to ACS one-year 2019 comparison profile. And I'm going to click on CP03, Comparative Economic Characteristics. So all comparisons in this product have undergone statistical testing, and all comparisons that are statistically different are flagged with an asterisk. Let me show a larger table. Yeah, like this one. So I can see my geography is Providence, Warwick, Rhode Island, Massachusetts metro area. And I'm going to scroll to the end of the health insurance section. All right, there, over here. So I can see 2019 estimate, 2018 estimate, and the asterisk indicates that the difference between the two sets of estimates is statistically significant. So actually, this is like a little bit hidden from here, the title, so you can actually expand the column like the Excel sheet, spreadsheet, and you can see it is highlighted in this statistical significance column. So in this example, we can see Providence, Warwick metro areas, 71.9% population with private health insurance statistic in 2019 is statistically different from the estimate of 69.4% from 2018, as indicated by the asterisk in the 2019-2018 statistical significance column. Okay, so let's say if we want to download this this table into a presentation-friendly format, how do we do that? So we can actually click on the Excel icon over here or CSV icon over here to just download it. So when I click on the Excel, and as you can see, just downloaded the Excel file, and when you open it, the first worksheet, the label information, provides information about the table, and the second one, labeled data, provides the actual table of data. All right, just close it. And the CSV button will export the table in a CSV format. And what about we want to download data into a machine-readable format? All right, I'm going to navigate to the tab with the last table we pulled up with DPO3 for all states. So I'm going to click on this one. And I'm going to click on the zip icon on the top of the table. All right, and I see it brings up a download window here. And I'm just going to verify the product and the year, and click download. Once the status reaches 100%, you should receive the prompt to open the zip file. Okay, it seems like a little bit slow. Let's do it one more time. Okay, there you go. And you can just open the zip file from here. And wait, you can double click the file that has DPO3 data CSV in a naming conventions, and you just double click on that. And the output is a flat CSV file, and each geography has its own row. Okay, and now I'm going to show you how to navigate to the map. The data.census.gov offers easy options to map the data so you can visualize the single data point across geographies. So I can either click on the Maps tab on the top of it or the map icon above the full table. I'm just going to click on this. And since we were already working with DPO3, it has defaulted to map in the first line of DPO3, which is the population of people who are 16 years and age and over. One of the great features of the maps on data.census.gov is that you can change your variable and geographies in a map view without going back to your previous selection. So you're just going to click on the variables icon over here and click on the chevron found next to the variable name. scroll down the list to find a variable you need, or you can also click into the search box at the top of the list to search for a particular variable. So I'm looking for health insurance. So I'm just going to type in health insurance. There you go. Now I'm looking for health insurance coverage with health insurance coverage, percent. Just going to click on that. And I'm going to close it by clicking on variables icon. So I can close that menu. View the map to see the percentage of people who have health insurance coverage. States in darker shades of blue have higher percentage of people with health insurance. And click on the individual state to see the percent estimate for the state. So for example, I'm looking for Rhode Island. I'm just gonna zoom in to the Rhode Island and click on that state. And I can see there are 95.9% of people with the insurance coverage in Rhode Island. All right, and this site has a functionality that allows you to view a table with a single estimate you map. This provides you more flexibility to view this type of table for any estimate or combination of geographic areas. To get this view, just click on the table icon on the top of the map over here. This one, and you just click on that. And you can see a table of estimate you just mapped, and with the variable you selected. All right, let's move on to our last example, selecting a detailed population group. Health insurance coverage of the Japanese alone population in the United States, and this one is selected population profile. And the same, I'm going back to data.census.gov and click on the logo to the landing page of data.census.gov to restart my search. So to choose your detailed population group on data.census.gov, use the advanced search. I'm going to click on the advanced search button, and I'm going to select topics. And as we can see, there's two folders, populations and people, and race and ethnicity. So populations and people used to select ancestry and country of birth groups, and race and ethnicity used to select race, tribal, and Hispanic or region groups. So I'm going to click on the race and ethnicity folder, Asian, select that one. I'm going to click on detail Asian alone. And scroll down the list, and I see there's a Japanese alone. I'm going to check the box next to Japanese alone. Okay, and after I select my variable, I'm going to click on search button on your bottom right. The selected population profile is the first result. I'm going to click on that. And here we can see the total number of people living in the United States who are Japanese alone and their characteristics. And I'm looking for health insurance data, so I'm going to scroll down to find that section. I'm going to close this there. Okay. All right, so it's over here. So there's like, for example, there's like 84.5% of people with private health insurance that is Japanese. All right, okay. So that concludes all of my 5 demonstrations on how to access ACS data on data.census.gov. And we hope you find this demo helpful and useful. And we also have several educational materials on our resources page. Just let me show you real quick from here. So you can visit this site, what is data.census.gov, and there are like several different materials, such as all the news updates and tutorial videos. etc. So if you have more questions like how to use data.census.gov, feel free to visit this site. And if you have any question on how to use data.census.gov or any feedback on data.census.gov, you can email us at census.data@census.gov. Thank you so much for sticking around for the demo, and I'm going to turn it back to my colleague. Thank you.
Thank you, Rex. Now we'll open the line for more questions.
As a reminder, if you would like to ask a question over the phone, please press *1 and record your name and affiliation. Thank you.
Thank you. And because we want to give everyone an opportunity, we'll be sure to allow for one question and one follow-up per caller, beginning with media first. If you are unable to ask a question or have additional questions for follow-up, please send them to the Public Information Office, either by email at pio@census.gov or by phone at 301-763-3030. And while we wait for calls, I would like to remind you that embargo subscribers will have access to the 2021 ACS one-year statistics beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Tuesday, September 13th. The full release is set for 12:01 a.m. on Thursday, September 15th. To see this data prior to the release date of September 15th, visit the embargo area, which you'll find on census.gov by clicking on Newsroom, then Embargoed Releases. After signing in, you'll have access to embargo data in the press kit, including the presentation slides and other products. The embargo area press kit link on this page will also take you there once the embargo period begins. Operator, do we currently have anyone in queue for questions?
I'm showing no questions at this time.
All right, we'll give it another minute to see if anyone has any questions. Operator, have we got any now?
Yes, one moment, please. One just popped up.
Thank you.
The question in the queue is from Krista Tanner with Detroit Press. Your line is open.
Hi, quick question. Probably an obvious one, but just wanted to confirm there will be comparison profiles with the ACS, and I assume they'll be comparing 2019 to 2021.
Thank you for your question, Kristen. Is there someone able to answer this question?
Hi, this is Nate Walters, ADC for American Community Survey. Yes, there will be comparison profiles. However, the 2020 data year will be X'd out in those profiles because it was not released as a full product.
Gotcha. So then we'll have to do the calculations ourselves with either the calculator you provide or on our own if we want to look at the difference between. Oh, no, forget it. We do multi-year comparison. I'm trying to think about comparing 2019
Correct.
and 21.
Yes, okay. The comparison profiles will have comparisons for the 2021 data year against 2019, 18, and 17. 2020 column will be present in the tables as you would normally expect it. It'll just be X'd out since the data wasn't released.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Thank you for that question. Operator, are there any other questions in the queue?
I'm showing no further questions at this time.
All right. Well, thank you very much. If you think you have any questions following today's webinar, please contact us using the information on this slide. You can also connect with us by subscribing to our email alerts where we share important information about our data releases by visiting our website at census.gov/ACS. At this time, I'd also like to remind members of the media to please check to make sure you have embargo password. Make sure your embargo password has not expired. The embargo data will be posted at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Tuesday, September 13th. If you have additional questions about the embargo or wish to arrange interviews on the topics covered in today's news conference, don't hesitate to call the Census Bureau's Public Information Office at the number or email listed on the screen. Additional information about the American Community Survey and this release can be found in our press kit. You can scan the QR code on the screen to visit census.gov to sign up for email alerts about upcoming data product releases. And finally, we ask that you please fill out an evaluation form. We want to ensure these sessions are helpful to you. Please find the link to the evaluation in the chat window. That wraps up today's webinar. Thanks to everyone who joined us today, and thank you, Amanda and Rex. As a reminder, the data we have discussed today will be released to the public at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, September 15th. We look forward to next week's release and look forward to your use of the ACS data. I'm Jill Jordan, and thank you again for joining us.
This concludes today's call. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.